In June 2024, Mexico elected its first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum, with an overwhelming majority. Her left-wing party, Morena, won the majority of seats in both houses of the parliament, indicating its popularity among Mexicans. Morena's founder and former president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, known as AMLO, has been a polarizing figure. Critics call him a dictator, while his followers see him as a messiah. But one thing they can agree on is that AMLO's agenda to put the poor first has led to a significant reduction in poverty and inequality in Mexico. Globally, inequality within countries has been on the rise. Could Mexico offer an example of transformative social policy?
Mexico has had a tradition of being an innovator of social policies. Back in the 90s, Mexico was the first country to implement conditional cash transfers. What we can learn from Mexico is that with some aggressive social policies that aim the poorer segments of the population, we can achieve some important results. Mexico is the second largest economy in Latin America and the Caribbean, the 15th largest in the world. It's an upper middle income economy. It's a member of the OECD, and the Gini coefficient, a measure of income inequality, is among the highest. Since the beginning of AMLO's presidency, the focus of this leftist agenda was to achieve poverty reduction, the reduction of inequality, and to actually start diminishing these historical structural conditions of inequality. I would like to highlight perhaps three particular programs that have demonstrated some important results. One of those is pensions to the elderly population. This was a program that already existed before AMLO, but under his presidency, this program was expanded in coverage. This is a social pension, a non-contributory transfer to all age 65 or more, regardless of their economic situation. Then there is a second program aimed at the youth, age between 18 years old and 29 years old, who are unemployed, to provide a monthly stipend coupled with training. There has been a significant partnership with the private sector, with NGOs, etc., so that this youth population will receive the training, and ideally they will be absorbed in the formal sector. For decades, the minimum wage in Mexico has been stagnant. During AMLO's tenure, in real terms, the minimum wage increased by about 60%. This has pushed Mexico closer to the leaders in Latin America, which typically have been Chile, Uruguay, and Costa Rica. And with this, Mexico has achieved some important reductions in poverty and inequality for the first time in many years. So the share of the population who was in poverty reduced from 42% to 36%. So it's a significant reduction. Also, in terms of inequality, Mexico's Gini coefficient during AMLO's tenure reduced from about 46% to 43%. And just to put it in context, the annualized rate of reduction of inequality in Mexico during AMLO's tenure, it's about 1.4% per year. And this is higher than the 1% average that the Latin America region recorded during the 2000s, which was this period characterized by having commodity boom in the region, where Latin America reduced inequality and poverty significantly. So what we have in several dynamic economies, such as India, China, Brazil, etc., as they are achieving economic growth, because of the lack of active redistribution policies, income inequality within those countries have been increasing. Economic dynamism, economic growth, it's important, but if we don't redistribute the outcomes of this economic growth, we will be observing a widening of the income levels within the country. The agenda of these leftist governments It's ambitious and transformative in this regard. So many countries can learn from Mexico, but many countries should also learn, because Mexico exemplifies this well, that they need to implement other important reforms. Fiscal reform, strengthening of institutions, reduction of violence and crime, and access to high-quality services of education and health are pending reforms in Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum, we expect, will continue with this agenda. She will be facing some important challenges.